Cool, yeah, thanks so much for giving me the stage to talk. I want to talk about enabling secure agents for asset management. If you look at the current landscape of asset management, you have a lot of sophisticated strategies which are being gatekept by all the middlemen. Think about liquid funds, think about advisory firms, and all of these middlemen are taking a cut. They're introducing counterparty risk because everything's based on legal contracts. And also it makes it inaccessible for most people to use these sophisticated strategies. And we think you can solve this with AI, which means that in the short term, we'll help existing asset managers to streamline and automate their processes. But then AI is just getting exponentially better. And with this long term, we want to build towards a future where you only have asset owners and all the management is being done by AI. And we want to be the platform to facilitate this. And the key problem is that AI right now is not safe to use for asset management because of hallucinations, because of it not being fully accurate. And we have the conviction that you need guardrails in order to have peace of mind what these agents can do with your assets, and in order to really know what kind of constraints they can interact within. And this means we're building Aeon, where we have 3 core features. We're using MPC, specifically ICA's decentralized and non-collusive MPC network, to support signing on any chain and support any asset. Then our smart contracts our business logic is fully on-chain. So everything from managing your users to the policy engine to the assembling of transactions. And then thirdly, this policy engine we also built specifically for DeFi. So you can limit everything down to the payload level, slippages on Uniswap, what kind of assets you can spend, what kind of amounts, the max amounts you can spend them within. And specifically on using this to enabling agents, we can have a look at the following diagram. So using ICA's MPC algorithm, we have 2 key shares. One is typically with the user, and one is with a decentralized network of nodes, with the ICA network. And now in this case, the user would share their share with the agent. And then if the agent spots an interesting opportunity it wants to act on, it would request a transaction, which is checked by our on-chain policy engine, having all the policy rules. And then if the policy rules say yeah, that's okay, then the network would sign this together with the agent to produce a fully signed transaction. And now I don't want to spend too much time talking. I want to show what we've built so far and what we're building towards. So I'm just going to go into showing a demo. Where here, this is our front end. I'm logged in as a liquid fund. I can see I've got different accounts for different parts of my funds. And for each account, I can see my assets across all chains. Again, using MPC, we can support basically literally any layer 1. And I can even see my DeFi positions. And then most importantly, I can see that I have policy rules where I can limit transactions down to the payload level. And if the Wi-Fi is good enough, we can see that, for example, here I have one policy rule where I can specify that only agents can initiate transactions. They can take funds from any origin. They can only spend them on these specific dApps, though. They can take any asset, but only spend up to 10K. And if this rule matches, then it should be auto-approved. And I could also specify human approvers to be required. And now just to see this in action, we can go to our integrated dApp store, where we really went the extra mile to provide an App Store-like experience. So you can not only select any of the curated dApps we have here across all chains, you can also enter any UL and then interact through them. And then you can even create your own favorites. And then I don't know if some of you have probably seen the demo we shared on Twitter about doing a transaction in Arbitrum. So for this case, let's do something more exotic. So we can, for example, just do a swap on Osmosis, on Cosmos. So I can just open this here. And then I'm automatically being connected with my Aeon wallet. And in this case, let's say we want to swap some Celestia to some meme coin. Dog tokens are always my favorites. So we can just swap one TIA to Bernice. Click on swap. And now the first thing we're doing is we're running a transaction simulation in order to determine the balance changes. And then this transaction simulation is run against our policy engine. And now in this case, once this completes, we can see that we're spending one Celestia. We're getting a proud 2.5K of Bernese tokens, and we're also getting some intermediate osmosis tokens. And then this is run against the policy engine. In this case, it's approved. And now when I click on confirm, I'm actually doing a transaction against the Sui blockchain, because again, our smart contracts are on Sui, but Aeon is sponsoring for them so that the user is not exposed to what Sui is or like where our logic is located. And now this gives me a notification on my mobile signer. Where I can see I just got a new signature request. And then now I can see more details about the transaction again, that I'm interacting with osmosis. I can see my balance changes again, the gas fees, and then I can click on sign. And now, as you've seen in the previous slide, two things happen. Like first, I sign this with the user share in my secure enclave, and then I'm sending this to my MPC provider to countersign it. And then once the signature goes through, we are sending this back to the dApp. It's being submitted to chain, and we did the swap. And now we can also check it out on the transactions page, where we can see, okay, this has been pushed to chain, give it a refresh. Osmosis is slow today. And there we can see it has been finalized. We can click on it, see more details, the whole history, including all the transactions I did on Sui, as well as the transaction I just executed on Osmosis. Now, this wallet platform is live in production. We got 1.5 million assets under custody as of today. We're scaling this up to 100 million AUM over the next couple of months. Customers include the Union Foundation Treasury, Node Capital, some treasuries on Sui. And now the key thing we're building towards is the agents we talked about. Like, why would a human have to go to all these dApps in the future? Why would a human need to understand this? Like, think about the future where you only have asset owners. Like, why would they need to be exposed to all this complexity? And that's where now the agents come in, which we are now building. And while we're still iterating on the use cases, I just want to give you the quick demo of what we're seeing right now. So one agent, for example, could help you manage a basket of assets. So in this case, they would buy assets with a good P/E ratio and keep this basket rebalanced over time. And then they would create reports about what they did and why they did it. Another agent could help you sell your positions based on certain triggers. So based on market sentiment, based on sudden movements, very personalized. Everything typically only advisory firms or liquid funds could execute for you. And then also, just to visualize this more, we can also create our own strategy using an agent by chatting with a treasury management agent. Where here I could say, okay, I want to deploy my treasury. And then in this case, the agent would ask me for the account, the amount of assets, and what I want to do. So I could say, okay, I want high yields with low risk. And now the agent would do all the research for me, would show me different protocols I can invest in. For each of these protocols, I would see the historic APY, and I would see the risks very detailedly. And then if I'm happy with this, I can now create a strategy together with the agent. So for example, I can say, okay, let's do a lending strategy. And then the great thing is also that I can add some custom constraints to this. So for example, I can say, okay, but let's also allocate some funds to Ethena. And now the agent would show me two strategies, one lower risk, one higher risk, higher return. And then for each of these, I could also see that Ethena is now part of the mix. And now if I'm happy with this, I can execute this. We have two execution modes. One of them is manual, where it's just like a co-pilot mode. So every time the agent would want to do a transaction, they would just propose it to me. I would get a notification on my mobile signer. I would sign it off. And the other is automated, where I would just create a policy. This would go through the admin approval. And then once approved, once put in place, I would give my user share to the agent, and the agent would go ahead and sign this fully autonomously. So what's next for us? As I said, currently live in production, we're building out the agents now. The first use case we're building towards is the yield agent, but then from there, you can think about all the different use cases currently a human is doing. Everything from doing yield research to you, someone to manage your monitor your positions, someone to react to catastrophic events like DPEGs and everything from there. And then within the next 6 months, we also want to open source this, so you can like build your own agents, bring in your proprietary expertise, bring in your proprietary data, and then you get like a revenue. Like you can take a revenue on whatever your agent's managing and whatever performance they have. If you want to know more about us, you can like hit us up on Twitter. Our DMs are open, and then yeah, I'm open for any questions. Thanks.